Hi everybody, welcome to another Witchy Book Club live stream, or if you're watching the playback, thank you so much for joining us. Super excited, you guys. We are starting a new book today. I am going to wait for some of my lovelies to show up in the live stream. So we are starting. Good morning, how are you? Hello. Everybody's filing in. We are starting this beauty this morning. We're starting Kitchen Table Tarot by Melissa Sanova. Hello. I don't know why I can't focus on any of the names. Hi Solaria. Hi Naughty Angel Girl. Hi Angie. Hi Alexis. Hi Angela. Hi, Donna. Morning, so happy to make my first book club. Welcome, Angela. Thank you so much for joining us. This is going to be a good one. This is going to be a good one. Hi, Marcia. Hello, Whale Song 81. Hi, Irish Twins Mama. You guys, this is going to be so exciting. I was laughing all over again when I was reviewing the introduction section because I have already read this book. I read it last year. But since we're starting it and we're going through it, I obviously am going to reread it with you guys. Let me make sure I'm saying hi to other people. Hi, Denise. Hi, Crowgirl17. And so I adore this book. I am so excited to begin a journey with tarot. I can tell this book is going to be amazing. I stopped myself from reading ahead. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, when you just like have a book and it's so good that you just can't put it down. And it's hard. I feel like hard to find those when it comes to learning or informational type books. So, something to do with maybe learning tarot or learning astrology or learning whatever it is you want to learn. If you can find a book that has a good mix of like, I want to keep reading, but I'm also getting good information here, that's the best. Ash said, hi Samantha and everyone else, my first book club, yay. Hi Ash, welcome. This is going to be a great one to start with. Christine. Hi Heather, hi babe, what's up? Okay, so there's gonna be more people shuffling in. I'm gonna try and repeat myself. I have also wanted to say a huge thank you and hello to anybody who's new to my channel in general. Let me fix my camera for a second. I've gained quite a few number of subscribers in the last few months. And I just wanted to say thank you to all of you who have subscribed to my channel, and also welcome if you've subscribed for some other reason or some other content and maybe you just found your way here by happenstance to the Witchy Book Club. I am so glad that you did because this is my favorite thing on my channel. It's so fun. It's interactive with you guys. But I just wanted to acknowledge that, and I think sometimes I can forget that I get new people here every day. And, sometimes we get so close and we build such a in-depth relationship that I forget that somebody could pop in that has never seen my channel or never seen it. So if you're one of those people, hi, welcome. I'm super excited to get to know you. And thank you for subscribing to my channel if you have. So with that said, like usual, before we get into this, I want to talk about the homework from last week. I'm going to be super honest with you guys and say that I did not do the homework that I assigned. Sam, girl, I've never been happier for this Monday ritual. I need this so badly today. Hello, all my loves. Sam, I love you so much. I'm here for you. This is going to be a blast. I'm very, very excited. So, I think I didn't do the homework for 2 reasons, but I still want to know what you guys came up with, if you did the homework or if you didn't, why, and how did it go for you if you did do it. So here's the thing. It's not... I want to say it's because I didn't have time, because I had a super busy week this past week, and trying to keep up with everything was a little bit difficult. And then, Friday, George and the kids and I, we went camping for the weekend, which was so fun. We took Phoebe. She's never been camping before. It was a great weekend. I came back yesterday. Michaela drove us all the way home, you guys. It was so awesome. She's great. She's a great driver. So we drove home yesterday, and then I went straight to my grandma's house, picked up Chauncey, brought him here, watched him for the rest of the night, took him back home. Like, I just have been going nonstop all week. But here's the thing. I can't be like, oh, I didn't have time. I couldn't do the homework because I was really busy. Because I still did morning pages every single day. So I have not missed a day yet. Since we started morning pages, I've wrote 3 pages every single day. So why have I not sat down to do the homework? And if you guys are new or if you missed it, last week's homework I assigned was to get in front of a mirror and to do some journaling, whether you do it in like a daily pages, 3-page type of thing, or however you want to do it, and just journal about what you see in the mirror. And the catch was to try and be as positive as possible without being, forcing it. The whole thing I was trying to get at is I didn't want you guys to get in front of a mirror and just be like, I'm ugly, or I hate this about myself. I said you could describe what's going on in the background. You could actually just list out things like, I have brown hair, I have glasses, things like that. But what I was hoping that it would, spark was a little bit more interest at looking at yourself other than going to a mirror to fix something or to make yourself look better. Because really, how many times do we go to a mirror just to say, hey, how are you this morning? We use mirrors as a tool to make ourselves look better or to check on if we're looking okay. So I was just trying to create an assignment that could make us look at mirrors differently. And I don't know why I avoided it. What's up with that? So let me know what you guys are comforting Sam and seeing if everything is okay. Let me just see. Thank you guys so much. See, I painted instead, like a self-portrait, because I knew I would write something positive, or I wouldn't write something positive. Okay, that's a cool spin. Yeah, obviously, the homework that I assigned doesn't have to be exactly what I do. It's prompts for you. It's ideas for you. It's not necessary. I'm going to still stick with my homework and try and do it again for next week, and I'll let you guys know how that was, because thinking about it and coming to the live stream today going, okay, I assigned homework, but I didn't do it myself, like, that doesn't feel good to me. And I think the fact that I have still been writing every day, yet I didn't specify what I wanted to do, is kind of telling me something. Why am I avoiding the mirror? Why am I avoiding doing that? So I'll let you guys know how. But did anybody else do the homework? I know Angie said she painted it, which I think is so cool. But did anybody else do the homework where they sat in front of the mirror and wrote what's going on here? So let me just see what the comments are saying. Let me go back a little bit too. Nothing? Anybody? The chat is delayed too, so I'm like waiting for anybody to come through. I have really cool homework assigned for this week though. And it comes straight out of the book suggestions. So if nobody has anything to say about the homework, everybody else is kind of like, girl, me too. I didn't want to get in front of a mirror. I could not find something positive to say. I drew a card and applied the positive aspects to myself. Ooh. Yeah. Okay. Cool. I didn't. Sorry. I don't like mirrors. They freak me out. Okay. You guys, you ladies, you men, you non-binary, what's going on? Why do we have such a hard time getting in front of a mirror? To be honest, I laid on the couch most of the weekend and watched trash TV. Oh, goals. What is with that? Why do we all avoid the mirror? That is very interesting. Oh, Heather did it. Okay, cool. I did it. I drew an old vintage mirror and drew half of a face in it with words around it about how I felt about myself in a positive way. Heather's the winner for today's live stream, y'all. Heather, hats off to you. Amazing job. That also sounds so beautiful. However you went about that, I'm sure it's going to be, you guys, Heather is like the most crafty, super, super artsy person, and I'm sure that was really cool. So DM me a picture if you don't want to show me the words. Like, DM me a picture of that so I can get some inspiration, because I set that homework out and for some reason I was like, I'll do it later. And now it's Monday morning and I'm going to admit that I didn't do it. So hopefully I can get it going for next week. Anyways, you guys. So we read for, Sam says, for real, Heat is the real, or Heather is the real MVP. I despise the mirror due to my body dysmorphia disorder. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, see, I'm trying to, I feel like I don't know why. That's it. That's what I need to figure out why. Why did I avoid doing it? Huh? What is it? I feel like Sam already knows why she didn't do it or didn't want to do it, and I'm just like, I don't know. But okay, guys. So Kitchen Table Tarot. This is our first live stream for this book. Again, if you are just joining in, I have read this book before. It is my favorite tarot book, but I'm rereading it again with you guys. So I assigned the introduction and all the way up into the major arcana. So it's about 52 pages that we're going to be covering and going over today. I have like totally defaced this book and wrote and highlighted and all of these things in here. But I saw a post by Melissa. She or somebody else made a post and tagged her in it, and I saw it. Someone asked her to sign their book, and she just like took the Ace of Wands page and wrote penis all over it. Which that is the kind of person that Melissa is, you guys. She is so funny. Crow Girl 17 said, I had a really weird experience with a mirror. Ooh, I'm out of focus. When I was younger, and I tend to avoid them as much as possible. I'll try and woman up for the next time. Or if you don't want to, maybe journal about that experience or write down about that experience. You know, like I said, you guys, these prompts, these homework is just for you. It's not for me. It's for you guys to do whatever you want with, to get inspired. And maybe you don't want to do that homework, but you get an idea to do something else with it, like Heather did, or Angie decided to paint. Like it's not like a strict border. You're not turning it in. It's something to have more conversation, to keep it going and to build on that. So Heather said, oh wait, no, let me go back. Sam says, fun fact, my first deck ever is the cards used in that book, which excited me to no end. Oh, that's amazing. I don't have the deck that, Sam's talking about the images and stuff that is used throughout the book. That's awesome. Heather says, it was difficult for me too. I have had a lot of insecurities, stretch marks from having 2 kids, but I felt good after I did it. Like I gave myself a big hug. I need that. I want that. Katie Flowers says, I have to go to bed, but hello and good night. Katie, I'm sorry that we haven't even gotten into it yet, but I hope that you can watch the playbook and we can talk afterwards. I'm actually going to mention your channel throughout here because there's something that's going to be brought up and you have videos on it, so I'm going to push everyone to go watch your videos. So I'm going to probably link some of that stuff down below. I hope that's okay. Crowgirl17 says, hi and good night. Good morning, Danielle. Okay, so let's get right into it. I love so much of this writing that I wish I could just sit here and read it to you guys because it is so funny. So she starts off on page 1. I'm sorry, I'm going to preface one more thing. If you guys are new or this is your first Witchy Book Club, you do not have to have this book, okay? You don't have to have the book to join into the live streams. I am going to prompt the conversation. We're going to be talking about it a lot. Out of every book that we've done for Witchy Book Club, I highly recommend this one to have in your collection. Even if you're not into tarot or you don't think you're going to get into tarot, it's a really fun read and it makes you think about things in another way. But I never want to pressure you guys into getting the book, but I will say that, you know, I'm not going to recommend you get a book if I didn't really feel like it was a good one to get. So when this goes to playback, I will try and link put a link to like the Amazon listing for this book. Starting at the introduction, she goes into like a little conversation recall about her friend Karen and her. Karen is getting a deck and starting to learn tarot, and she basically goes, you know what, I'm just gonna read it, okay, you guys, and if you've already read it, that's okay. But, hi, the Mystic Aura, how are you today? But the introduction starts off, oh my gosh, sorry. I've been trying to find a good way to learn tarot, and I can feel this one is going to be it. It's so funny, and she is so real, reminds me of our random live streams. Melissa and I have a very similar sense of humors, and there's things that I'm going to point out throughout the introduction. I said introduction. Yeah, we've clicked and we are very similar. We're also very different, but her humor is very similar to our live streams. It says, my friend Karen called me a while ago. She grabbed her first tarot deck and book and was so excited about starting her tarot journey. Then the text started coming in. Karen, my beginner tarot book recommends bundling a new deck and sleeping with it underneath your pillow for 2 nights. Me, that's gross. Don't do that. You'll mess your cards up. Set them next to the bed, or don't. Just think about each card before you go to sleep. Karen, it also says to charge a quartz crystal to keep with it to absorb poopy energy anyone might bring near the deck. Me, also bring the deck into a verdant meadow under a new moon and let fairies flip through it and sigh over it. Karen, ... Me, kidding. The crystal one is actually not a bad idea, but I don't do it all the time and my cards work fine. Karen, it also says I should shuffle left-handed. Me, Karen, shuffle with whatever freaking hand you want. Love, Melissa. Karen, LOL. Yes, Sensei. I cleanse crystals and decks with salt and full moonlight and whatever fairies want to stop by. Me, right, like you do. These conversations sum up exactly why I wanted to write this book. Reading cards is difficult and learning them can be really confusing. And then she goes into her history of finding tarot and learning without the internet and all of the books that she had to access that were very like, this is this card, and it's nothing that she could relate to. Learning it was difficult for her as far as like finding anything that she could read that was relatable, and so she's going into that's why she wants to read the book. But just starting this out with that little conversation, I knew, I was like, this book is for me. Not that I can't learn, and not that I haven't found such wonderful knowledge from other tarot books that are set up very factual or in a systematic way, but sometimes it's really overwhelming, even if you're not doing tarot, or if you're, trying to learn astrology, or you're trying to do anything that's put in such a box or put in such a window. Even yoga can be very, like, trying to learn yoga is, everybody breathe and take in the beauty of the surroundings. Like, for me personally, I need something really real and raw to connect with, because that's how I work. That's how I do things. So that's how she kind of sets into it. And then I highlighted this section in page 3. And it says, what this book shows and what I want to teach you is that you can pick up a card, see where it's going, remember a few keywords or mnemonic devices, and then own the card. You'll have it. Once you have the card, you can't lose it again. It belongs to you, and you can embellish it as much as you'd like. So whether you're new to tarot, whether you're a seasoned reader, you've been reading for longer than I have, and you could read circles around me, it's not about that. What I want to get into right away is that learning to read tarot is more about having a relationship with your deck and with the cards. Everybody learns differently, everybody reads differently, and everybody has a different relationship with why and how they want to practice tarot. So please, whatever I bring up and tell you about how I use tarot and how I read tarot and what I do is just my experience and what I've found that's worked for me. You do not have to read like me. You do not have to read and hold the same values as Melissa is reading this book. Everything in life, learning anything in life, is always about making it work for you, taking what resonates, and just, finding how to have fun with it. For this live stream series, I am going to be using and referencing my Rider-Waite Centennial deck. This is not the deck that I learned on. This is the most basic deck that I have, that's going to be referencing how she goes and talks about the Rider-Waite tarot system in this. Yes, I have that deck too. So please do not feel like you have to get this, and I'm going to go a little bit more in depth into the decks when we get to her readings on it later, but I am going to tell you that with reading this section and what I just highlighted about remembering a few keywords or mnemonic devices, but you have to own the card. If you guys maybe have been trying to learn tarot for a while and it's just not sticking, or maybe again, like you're a seasoned reader and you're looking for something else to kind of add layers or to become, you know, closer to it, I have the regular or plain one. It's the first deck I ever bought. Okay, we'll get into decks. That's good. We'll get into decks in a second. Hi, Nikki. How are you? If you guys see me itching too, it's because I have mosquito bites all over my body, so I'm like miserable. And also still poison ivy. I'm a mess. If you guys are looking to build a bigger relationship or greater relationship to the cards, and as she says, own it. Own it. Once you own it, once you have it, you can't lose it. A couple things that I do consistently and still do. It's not like I did this and now I've stopped. I do my year ahead spread. So what a year ahead spread is, if you don't know, is you sit down with a deck or two. I actually grab an oracle deck and a tarot deck, and I create space. I do what works for me. I do my reading rituals. I kind of ground myself, maybe meditate just a little bit to really tap in, because for year ahead spread readings, it's a different energy that I'm asking to call on for myself and for spirit, is how I work, than like, hey, let me throw 3 cards for what's going on with me today. Like, trying to pull in energies for the next year, I feel like is a big deal. So I sit down and make it a big ritual. And then I flip 13 cards from each deck. So 12 for the months ahead and 1 for an overall year card. I am going to be posting my bullet journal video soon, and I will show you in depth a lot in that video. I filmed it. I'm just working on editing and fine-tuning it, so please, I'm so excited. Please be patient still. It's coming. But you guys can see how much I work with a monthly card. So I will have thrown a card for each month for the year. And so for, let's just pull out one of these. Let's say it's the Magician, which I wish I had the Magician for one of my cards for this year, but I do not. Let's just say for this month I had the Magician. Okay, so I will write it next to my calendar, as well as whatever oracle card I have for that month. I do before and after journaling. So before the month comes, I will prep and I will do some, research on the card. I will journal what I know about the card. I will journal what the card is saying to me might happen in the next month. I might describe the card. I might pull out every single tarot book that I own and pull a keyword from each of them, because you can never have too many resources, and I just like to have a really nice beginning energy for that card. And then as the month progresses and I find ways to relate, or I find ways in which this might have enlightened me, or I struggled with it, I journal about it as the month goes through, and that's all in my bullet journal. You could do it in a notebook. You don't have to do any of this, but this is a suggestion on how to own your cards. This has been the most effective for me to work with a card simultaneously. I will go back and read the comments. Let me just finish this. Sorry, guys. So that is one of the ways that I connect a lot to the cards. Some months are better than others. Some months I'm like, holy shit, I will never not think about this card, in a different way. Like I've just something, like I felt like I knew a card, but because of certain circumstances, things just clicked differently for me because I really owned it and I really became so personal with it. And that doesn't mean to say that I only think of that one circumstance or that one whole event for that card, but it gives it new meaning to me. So that's one of the ways in which I really own and dive in and become connected and personal with the cards. That works for me. If it doesn't, great. Also, pulling daily cards, something that she talks about in here, and maybe I'm getting ahead of myself. If you're learning, just simply shuffle it up however works for you. Pull a card. You could leave it out on your desk, look at the card, and pulling a card, doing it every single day, practice makes perfect kind of thing. That's another way to get kind of closer with the cards. So I just wanted to, doing my year ahead spread for me has been really one of the most enlightening and amazing experiences with what she's talking about here. Owning the cards, you'll have it once you have the card. Now, if you're new and you're trying to learn tarot, there's 78 cards to learn. You're only pulling 13 cards. You still have to continue. That's like the only thing that you're gonna do. But it's just a suggestion. Now let me go back and read what you guys were typing out. Some amazing things here I saw. But I've been finding, okay, yes, I have the deck. Hi, everyone. I have the regular one. Okay, I read that. Sorry. I don't know how far to go back. I decided to take a walk yesterday. Would be a good way to get out of my funk, and got attacked by mosquitoes. Oh, if you guys saw my feet, I've always been attacked by mosquitoes, and I feel like each of my foot is one giant bite because I can't stop itching it, so that's just nasty. I have the book and didn't finish it yet, so here I am. Whoop whoop. Yay! Okay, well, we're breaking it down. We're breaking it down, I think, into at least 5 or 6 live streams. I need to put on a chance. I found this amazing one. It's called Medicine Chance Visual. Oh my god, I'm losing it. The visual is great as well on the clip. I'm not sure what you're talking about, Nikki, but cool. I wanted to do that too. I think you started it for your birthday month, right? I almost want to wait till the new year to do it. Again, you don't have to do anything that I'm talking about. Sometimes things work for other people, but if you're looking for new ways, if you don't know where to start, if you've wanted to do it and you're like, is it worth it? For me, it's really, really great. Danielle says that she thinks she did a year ahead spread once and it was cool, but I didn't like it as much as pulling a card per month as I go. And that's cool too. Whatever works for you. For me, I don't know if I would. I think that I need to hold myself accountable by doing it in the year ahead spread. Because if I were to be like, okay, now's the time to sit down and do my monthly card pull, I feel like I'd be more likely to skip a few months. So that's why I like to do it that way. But if you find that that works best, that's great too. Christine, when you draw a card, should it be from the top or spread out and pick from random places in the deck? Christine, great question. I think that you're asking about how to draw your cards when after you've shuffled. So I'm going to say this a lot throughout this live stream. Do whatever feels right. And she goes into this as well, so we'll probably touch back on it because I think I've highlighted it in there. I've talked about how I personally shuffle, so I'll explain that again to you guys. I've seen people shuffle and then spread it out and pick cards from there. I've seen people, Michaela doesn't really know how to shuffle very well, so she will, when we're, messing around with the cards and she wants to pull cards, she will put it on the table and spread it all out. That's fine too. You can just riffle shuffle, which, it's going to be really hard to do this. Breaking it up like this, and then kind of shuffling it. Wow, I'm good. And shuffling it like that. Some people don't like when you shuffle like that. Whatever works for you. Overhand, right? So you could do kind of like one of these. You can go behind. I tend to mess up a lot and drop a ton of cards if I'm just going above and back like that. So I just kind of go over after I've riffled shuffled. I go over a couple times. Some people have to cut the deck. Some people like to cut the deck and read from the top. Some people cut multiple times. Whatever works for you. I was taught by my grandmother and she's very free flowing with it. Touch her deck if you want. Don't touch her deck. Shuffle however you want. So how I do it is I will typically riffle shuffle like I told you, maybe 2 or 3 times or however it feels good, right? So I'm really mixing up the energy here, shuffling up my deck. I'm really thinking about what it is that I'm trying to get from the cards, whether it's a message or reading or energy from somebody else, whether I'm looking for guidance on a specific topic for myself, whether I'm just doing a general daily reading. I really, during this time, am trying to focus I kind of clear out my energy, right? So that feels good. So I've riffle shuffled. I'm gonna overhand this again. This is just how I do it. This isn't how you have to do it, but if you're looking for examples. So I'm overhand shuffling now. Again, in my head at this point, I tend to try and say, like, let's say I'm doing my daily spread, right? So I'll just, in my head, kind of call on my spirit guides. That's me. That's what I do. And then I will say kind of what do I need to know today? What can the cards show me for today? You know, what energy do I need to know? And I just do that until it feels right, until I need to stop. I've tried to cut the deck. For me personally, after I've shuffled, I like where it's at. So I will stop when it feels good, and then I will flip one card. And in this case, I got the 4 of coins. It's one of my stalker cards, you guys. So I will either stop there or pull out my spread. Sometimes I've noticed that I will want to peek at the bottom of the deck. So if I need more clarification, I will, throw my cards out, and if I'm feeling a pull to take a look at the bottom of the deck, which in this case is the the High Priestess reversed, I might add that as like an overall like energy, or I might play around with that, or tweak my reading and my words for myself or my thoughts based on what is underneath here. That's an example of how I do it, you guys. If you're new, if you don't know anything about tarot, if you feel very lost or not how to start or what, again, do whatever feels right for you, okay? In here, I don't know what page it is, she talks about a friend who, let me try and find it, because we already got, when you're first reading for the people, let me try and find the section she talks about, because I'm pretty sure I highlighted it. Okay. Yep, here we go. I'm sure I've said this before. I'm on page 21, you guys. I'm sure I've said this before, but when it comes to getting a tarot reading, intent is everything. Truly breathe, calm down, and try to focus on yourself. Now she's talking about getting a reading from somebody else, but this also can go for reading for yourself. Allow the universe to tell you what you need to hear. Remember the shuffling. I get that. I think that gets overlooked quite a bit. Shuffling the cards is a very calming experience. Alternatively, I have had clients lay their hands on the deck and the reading is just perfect. There's a lot of confidence there. I have a client who tosses cards in the air like 78 card pickup. She piles them back up and hands them to me. I hate it when she does this, but you know what? The reading is always right. So that's what works for that person. She doesn't like it, but she knows that that's what feels good for them, so she lets them do it. Let me go back now and catch up with you guys, because I don't want this to be a one-sided thing here. That's how I feel about it. Okay, I do a year ahead spread in the spring. For me, that's the beginning energy versus winter, the new year. My birthday is in spring, so I feel the same. For me, the new year always comes around and I feel a pull to try and do, like, I'm like, oh, I want to do my year ahead spread again. But that's only because most people do their year ahead spreads in, like, the new year. And I just see everybody posting all their stuff and I'm like, oh, I love that. I want to see what my cards are. But I finish it out for May. It feels right for me to do it around my birthday in spring as well. But again, if you're like, I don't care, I don't want to wait, my birthday just passed and we have so long for New Year, so I want to do it now, that's fine. The year ahead spread is overwhelming for me, so if I get a bunch of cards like Ten of Swords and Tower and I see all that, I'm going to have anxiety. That's a good point, Danielle, but I'm going to have to tell you that I did my year ahead spread and I got all swords, all cups, or all like major arcana cards. And if you're new to tarot and we haven't gotten there yet, that's fine. Don't be overwhelmed with what I'm saying. But basically, I was 2 suited this year with very challenging cards. And I say challenging in the aspect of it wasn't like 10 of Cups and 3 of Cups and, all of these beautiful, the Magician and all these things that typically have really uplifting type energies for the most part. I started off with the Two of Swords, and then I had the Ace of Swords reversed, and then I had then I had the Nine of Swords, but looking at it as in, oh shit, my month's gonna be awful. Like this card means this. I found really holds me back from experiencing and getting the layers of the cards in a different way, because for me, the Two of Swords has become one of my favorite cards in the deck. When beforehand I see it and I'm like, ah, crap, like, here we go. What am I gonna have to choose? What am I gonna have to find? What secret's going to be revealed that's gonna totally mess up my whole month? Like, and that's what happened to me personally that month. But it spiraled. It was the beginning of so many wonderful things. And it was such a great learning experience for me to go into the month with that card, or go into the next month's card, even though it was more of a challenging card in my eyes. The Nine of Swords is not the greatest one. Saying, okay, what am I going to learn? What am I going to be able to become stronger with? What do I need? Like, actually, what do I need to know? Like, how can I enhance my relationship with this card, and also just be a badass throughout the month and work with this energy? And for me, that's very important. And not to say that you can't do that without doing it the way that you're doing it. Because I think it's really interesting to have other perspectives on it. I'm not the end all be all, but I found I have the Tower for one of my cards. I personally love the Tower, but I'm also not in the Tower right now. So when I get to that month, if something happens that's very towery, I might be like, I hate this, I don't like it. But ultimately, I know that all of the energies of the tarot and all the energies of life are ultimately there for me to elevate myself, or to not elevate myself, that sounds so freaking egotistical, to evolve, the basic, to learn, to grow. But I can see how maybe throwing more than one a month for an energy could be overwhelming for some people. Totally get that, for sure. Yeah. Okay, cool. All right. I feel like we should try. Angie, you should'd. I feel like we could try every way to see what feels true for us. Like, I've tried picking from the top, and it doesn't feel right. I need to spread them and try and touch them, whatever card feels right. Like, I glide my hand over the cards to see which card sticks, or what one I want. I found that given me good results. That's amazing. Then I would suggest sticking with that, or playing around with that. Don't even do it the same way every time I read. Sometimes I spread them out and touch a card. I feel what's right, and sometimes I just pick from the top. Yeah, I try some different ways. I don't know, either comfy or hello, Jezebel, on text. I feel a slight warm or tingle in my fingertips on the hand holding the cards when I'm shuffling, so that's when I stop. BRB, I got a client. I love you, Angie. I haven't ventured into a year ahead yet, but I started doing 3 months at a time. Great, that's amazing. I really like the idea of doing 3 months. I'm looking forward to it. Take your time, no rush, and I'm thinking reading styles are similar, and I enjoyed talking to you. Okay, so, just so we're catching back up here, you guys, we are talking about getting and growing a more deep relationship, how to shuffle, all these things. I think we need to back up a second for the people who are super new, who might not even have a deck. So let me go to the section that is next here. Let me go back. And now we're going into chapter 1 about getting started. She talks about picking a deck. So if you are going to be joining along with us in this reading, again, you don't have to get the book. You don't have to get a tarot. I would assume that you might want to if you are interested in learning. The first thing you're going to want to do is have a deck. And she does talk about how it's recommended to get a Rider-Waite-Smith deck. If you don't know what that means or what that is, I suggest you look it up. She does go a little bit into there, but there's tons of resources online, so I'm not going to take a second to kind of explain that. Here's an example of what one of them look like. This is the Centennial edition. I've already showed this, but here are the backs. This is just one version of this particular deck. The images, on the deck look like this, but there's so many decks that you can get that are Rider-Waite based, but that do not have this very generic, and I say generic in the most loving way because I absolutely adore the images in these decks. Not a lot of people do. You could get something like the Happy Tarot. It's very cute and it's got like little cartoon kids on it, but the images stick very true to the original images or the symbology. So when we're going through things and we're breaking down what the card looks like and the symbology on there, it's still so similar. So get one that feels right for you. In this book, she does list a few examples of Rider-Waite based decks. She says Llewellyn's Classic Tarot, Radiant Rider-Waite Tarot, the Anna Kay Tarot, Gilded Tarot, Universal Waite Tarot. So she does give you some examples. And then on the next page, she says, although the historical tarot is full of straight white folks, there are a host of other decks that feature queer people, people of color, and queer people of color. A lot of the tarot is about symbolism, and that extends to the color of the character's skin and the relationships they're in. You don't have to be a white female to identify with the High Priestess. You don't have to be in a straight relationship to live in the Lover's card, because the Lover's card shows like a male and female, very heterosexual type. I'm trying to find if I can flip to it, but that's okay. I often come up as the Knight of Swords in readings, and I don't identify with a white cis male. That being said, it's really nice to do a reading with cards that are representative of your color, culture, or love. And then she lists some recommended diverse decks, like the Gaian Tarot, the Sun and Moon Tarot, the Relative Tarot, the Fountain Tarot is great. I can definitely say the Fountain Tarot. The Mother Peace Tarot, that is my grandma's preferred tarot deck. I feel like I'm out of focus. Morgan Greer Tarot. So there is a lot of examples here. If you guys have this book and you want to find another tarot deck, or you want to follow along, or maybe you've only done maybe Thoth system, or you've only done whatever. Okay, so there's some suggestions for decks in here. I will be using my Rider-Waite Centennial. So with that being said, again, going down, she talks on page 7, I like the basic deck because the symbology is very rich, and I like starting my students off with the traditional decks. It's a friendly deck, and I liked using it a lot. I used this deck until after college for about 10 years. And by the way, I used the book for about 9 of those years. Yeah, I did. During readings, too, I used the book because it takes time to learn about the cards, and there's nothing wrong with bringing in a book to help you out. I carry a small tarot book in my car just in case I blank out or need mental reinforcements. So yeah, do that. Use your tools. That's what they're there for. So I want to talk about this. And this kind of goes for like a little bit more if you're wanting to read for others, or you're wanting to maybe become professional and you're, nervous because you always have to access the book. I feel like there's a big stigma around books and using them in readings professionally. I will let you know that in my readings at this point, I do not like to access the book. It's a very rare occasion. The only time that I use books during readings is sometimes with an ending card. So if I'm doing like a 13 card tarot spread, and then I end off with like an oracle card, I like to pick an oracle deck that will complement what the reading's for, complement what other deck I've used for the tarot, and a lot of the times I will pick one that I really like the writing in the guidebook, because I've talked a whole lot during this reading. I've given a ton of information. I've tapped into a ton of what I'm picking up on the cards, and I really like to give my clients something to end with from words or verbiage from somebody else who I feel like could pinpoint an overall energy. So let's just use the let's just say Sacred Creators Oracle, right? So let's say I've done a creative or a business type reading for somebody. We've used the Rider-Waite Smith deck, and then I wanted to pull a final overall energy with the Oracle card. I like to kind of give a little bit of what I'm feeling about that Oracle card, but then I will pull out the guidebook, because Chris and Donnelly's guidebook is kick ass. And her keywords and the way she talks about it, it just gives a little bit more food for thought to leave that person with, but also it's so cool when I'm reiterating things in a reading for somebody and I'm saying the same things, like we're really hitting on an issue or we're really diving into a specific portion of this, and I pull a card for that person, and what it says in their guidebook are the exact key phrases or sentences that I have said to that person. It's a little bit more validation, and I feel like can be used. You just have to find it in the right way. Now, if you're doing professional readings and the entire time you're just reading out of the book, I would say maybe reevaluate whether or not you're ready to do that. But again, everybody's different. If that's what works for you and people jive with that, great. But I do feel like there is quite a number of videos or resources out there that says if you're reading professionally, it is very tacky or it's not okay to be using the book. And I would beg to disagree with that if done in a productive way, I guess. I don't know. Maybe that's sitting on my high horse saying the way I do it is productive, but like if you do it another way, it's not. I guess just keep in mind that you don't need the books to give a good tarot reading, but if you feel like you want to access that and pull, some of these guidebooks or tarot books are so good that I do find myself when I'm giving my own readings, like if I'm doing a 3-card spread daily pull for myself and I'm just blanking and I'm just like, I'm too attached to what this is, I need some keywords, I will not hesitate to pull out a guidebook or pull out tarot reversals or pull out whatever I've got, and or even the little white book and see, all right, what does this little white book have for their keywords for this card? And I'll go through and I'll be like, yeah, I thought of that one, and then I'll see a keyword and then I'll be like, that's right. Good keyword. I see how that clicks for me. And then I'll write a whole freaking page because I got my mind going off of one keyword. So, wow. Ranty, rambly. I am so excited to be talking tarot with you guys. I'm going to go back now and read the comments, but if anybody has any questions about anything we've brought up, if you're going to ask me questions about something we haven't covered yet, please hold off and see if we get there, and I'll take questions at the end. But if something we've already talked about or you have a comment or whatever, let me see. Sam says, I totally agree with the deck type to start with. There are so many where the suits just have the numbers and the swords for the cards and actually no image. It makes so much more difficult to learn from. I agree. She's talking more of what's, I feel like maybe you're talking more about like a pit style deck. I have a very hard time reading with those cards, but I'm feeling a draw towards those more. But I would say for learning, it is extremely difficult to learn when there's not images on the card and it's like the same thing. I don't have anything very close to me to show you guys, but yes, I agree, Sam. Donna, I walked into a store the other day to buy incense. No intent to buy a deck. Animal Tarot practically jumped off the shelf to come home with me. That's so cool. I love that. Love that. Love that. I have that deck, and for me, it's a very blunt deck. I really like it, and I hope you enjoy it as well. Cool. Whale Song 81. Okay, let me take a sip of my cold coffee because I am talking a lot. Okay. So, we talked about keywords. We talked about using guidebooks. Just if it's there for you and you want to use it and you're being called to it, use it. That's fine. I did use a guidebook or other books like this throughout like the first handful of readings that I did, but they were mostly with friends, or like I was trying to set them up professionally, and I was doing them in a professional way, but I still let them know, like, if I feel like I need to pull a guidebook, it's because I want to enhance what I'm getting from the cards, or maybe I feel like I need, other keywords or whatever that is, or this is a new deck or whatever. So, and I let them know beforehand. I don't wait until I'm halfway through a reading and go, I'm stuck, or I really need some, another way to think about this card or some keywords. I'm going to pull out this book, because then that makes them feel like, what? So just being honest, just being upfront. If you're reading for somebody else, if you're reading just for yourself, and this is just a personal journey, then don't friggin' just grab the book if you want to. But if you're trying to read for others and you're afraid to pull out the book, you're afraid to look stupid or like you don't know what you're doing, that's not the point here. Just be honest, be open with the person you're reading for, whether a friend, family, acquaintance, some stranger that's seeing you playing with your cards in a coffee shop and goes, "Hey, I'd really like if you read for me," and you say, "Okay." Just tell them up front. Be like, "I really like to use the guidebook sometimes," or "I'm going to have to refer back to the guidebook, I'm still learning," or "I've been reading for a really long time, but if I feel pulled to get some keywords from the book, that's what I'm going to do." Just be upfront with them and then be like, "Okay," or if not, then tell them bye, I won't read for you then. If you That's pretty simple. All right, moving on to page 9. I have so much highlighted, you guys. So page 9, it says, "Once you have your deck, get to know it." Did I already read this part? No. Okay, so hold on. What are your... Wait, oh my gosh, let me get back. Marcia, I just got my first tarot deck, which is Shadowscapes Tarot, that I decided to buy after seeing your review video. Marcia, I hope that you enjoyed that deck. That deck is beautiful and stunning. It is a wonderful, creative, active deck for me personally. I've gone in and out of how I use it. There is a lot going on in the imagery, which is really good to learn with, I feel like. So have fun with it. Just figure out what works for you. But I think that deck is one of my favorites, and it's gorgeous. What are your thoughts on using another divinatory system with your reading to clarify the reading? Cool. Sounds good. What are you talking about? Like a pendulum or runes or die or, like adding another thing in there? Scrying? Cool. Sounds great. Awesome. You got the time for it? Do it if you want to. I'm trying to think of an instance in which I've done this before. I wouldn't necessarily call astrology a divinatory system. It can be for me, though. So I use my knowledge of the planets and the zodiacs and all of the astrological information that I have. I heavily rely on that and mix the two together. Even one of my main readings is my astrological association spread, where I use and kind of combine the tarot with my love and knowledge for that. So I do that all the time. Or if I'm feeling like I'm picking up on a card's energy with astrological associations with it, I will totally run with that. I don't know if I would call that a divinatory system. I don't know, but sure, that sounds great. What are you looking into? What are you thinking about? Like, go for it. Play around. If it works, that's wonderful. I seriously have that issue, especially if they're paying me. I force myself to trust my intuition, but if I read for myself or friends, I will use the book to practice. Yeah, I feel like, I feel like at this point, Sam, I'd just be reiterating things. If you want to talk personally with me about it, I will totally, we can go more into it, but I think that you're not alone in feeling that way. If you're trying to transition into, reading for yourself and reading for others and then now doing it professionally and you're feeling hung up on using books and stuff, I guess what the best thing to do in that situation, in my opinion, is to really dissect why it is you feel like you need to use the book. So is it because you don't remember what that card means? Is it because you're blanking on how this could be interpreted? Is it because you're feeling disconnected from the rest of the reading? Like you're jiving, you're flowing, and then you have this one card and you're like, I don't know how this connects. I need to use my book. If you find out why the majority of the time you feel like you're being drawn to the book, it might help you get more clarification on whether or not it is beneficial or holding you back on using your book. So if you're finding yourself 9 times out of 10 going, I can't remember what this card means, I need to use the book, maybe take a look at continuing non-professional See, I don't even want to say that because a lot of readers are intuitive readers. Like, they don't need to know the meanings of the cards. They don't need to do that, and they do it purely on intuition and what they see in the images of the cards, and they might not really even know the meanings. That's your jam, that's your jam. But I guess maybe breaking down why it is you feel like you need to keep going back to the book instead of just saying like, oh, I suck, I need to keep feeling like I need to use my book. I feel like kind of breaking it down and really asking yourself why you feel that way might help you kind of move forward. But again, everybody's different. It's so hard for me to sit here and tell you like this is why, or if you want to talk to me, Sam, DM me. We can continue talking about it. Runes. Oh my gosh, hold on. Runes, bibliomancy, oracle deck, another tarot deck. Sounds great, Whale Song 81. Go for it. Play around. Why not? Why not? Sounds great. The only thing I will say about that is if you're learning, if you're new, and you're using two divinatory systems together that you're new with, I might caution you against doing that, just because it's going to be, it might be overload. It might be information overload. It might kind of deter you from doing anything. But if like you've been studying runes your whole life and you feel really, really comfortable with that, and like you really know it and you jive really well with it, and you're trying to learn tarot, so you want to use them together to kind of, build a bridge between the two, amazing. Why not? But if like you've never done runes before and you've never done tarot before, I would kind of suggest picking one or the other to start with, because that's easier in my mind to learn one thing at a time. But like I said, I started with astrology. I'm very knowledgeable on the energies and how I associate things. So for me, it happens naturally. Like I don't even try to. I have a lot of astrological things that just kind of mend together in my readings. But yeah, just go for it. I'm getting a new tarot deck called Tarot de la Nuit Noir. That's coming out in a few weeks. I've been waiting for this book club theme, so this book club theme was perfect. Yay, I'm so glad, Christine. Sam says, it's definitely just me not trusting my intuition. When I don't use it, I read just fine, but I convince myself I still need it. So, here's what you could do. I don't know. I was gonna say, like, find, like, something you could lock them in, so that you don't, don't bring them. Have them so you just force yourself into it. No, you're not alone. You're not the only one that's felt that way. I've felt that way in the beginning as well. And sometimes I still feel that way. Like, I have definite, like, identity, like, sometimes I still feel that way. Like, what am I doing? Am I worth my salt? But just forcing is not the right word I'm looking for. Just going through it. Just keep going with it. Just the more you do it, the more comfortable you'll get. And some of my cards, here's something to think about too. If there's a card that you're hung up on, or you feel like you need to access the book, I have found that a lot of the times, if the whole reading is going really well, and then I'm stuck on a card, and I'm like, I'm not getting anything, what's going on here? A lot of the times, it might be the client's energy blocking that from coming through, and I might bring that up to them. So I might say, here's what this card is typically about. Here's how I can kind of give you some direction on where this might be going for the position that it's in. But I'm not really getting anything here. Is there something maybe, that you're having difficulties in this area, or maybe that you're, that you haven't really talked about, that's maybe uncomfortable? 9 times out of 10, they're like, oh my gosh, yes. So there might be something that's not with you. Maybe you're taking on something within the other person that they want to talk about, but maybe it's difficult, or maybe that they've never put it into words before, so that you're taking that on and it's a little difficult for you to put into words. I wouldn't always blame the other person, but just be honest and open in your readings. If this is a professional setting, again, if you're just trying to learn tarot, you're just doing it for yourself, this might be kind of like boring for you, but this is something that people really even if you're not trying to be professional and you want to read for your friend, but you get a couple cards and you're just like, I don't know. If you feel like the rest of the reading is going really great and then you get one card, it might be because they're not, they thought they were ready to talk about it, but maybe they're not, or maybe they have a hard time, so you have to help them out with it, okay? All right, so let's move on. I have the books in another room. Just make it a tiny workout to get to it. Most of the time, you will just not get up to get to it. Great suggestion. Okay. Okay, I was going to read that section, but we kind of already covered that. When you're reading for other people, you're trying to find... Okay, here's great. This is kind of along the same lines of what we were just talking about. It's on page 10. It's a section, How Do You Read? And I have this part highlighted. It says, when you're first reading for other people, you're trying to find your voice. It's okay to be hesitant, and it's completely normal to use your book. It's okay to tell your client that you're not sure. Above all other advice, this is the most important. Be honest. If you try and come off as a hooded mystic and you don't know the meaning of the Hierophant card, you're not going to be taken seriously. Be sure that you match your reading style with your skill level. You can surround your readings with as much as possible or as little as possible. Ceremony as you'd like it. There are people who pray, burn incense, and store their cards in a velvet bag in a wooden box on an altar. There are people who keep an extra deck in their glove box in case they forget to bring one along to a reading. Your rituals work because you believe in them. Again, it's a fancy way for saying do what feels right to you. Okay, and then she goes into laying the cards down. She gives really great advice. Again, if you guys are new to tarot, if you are learning tarot or you want to learn tarot, you know nothing about it and you don't know where to begin, I really recommend this book. One, because we're going to be breaking it down, answering questions and everything, but because it really has everything here that you are asking or that a lot of people have difficulties with. Laying the cards down. So now the next section we get into is one card readings, the Celtic cross, which is in almost every single book, what they mean, how she likes it, how it works for her, 6 card spreads. It goes into past, present, future spreads, like a 3 card spread, and she explains it and breaks it down. Then we get into the exercises. There's 2 of them here, and it brings us to our first bit of homework. So the first exercise I'm going to read to you guys. Feel free to do it if you want. This is not the homework that I'm assigning. So I like this exercise, so I'm going to read it to you guys. On page 17, it says, tell me a story. Shuffle your cards. Lay 3 cards down. Tell me that story. Let a friend shuffle. Lay down 3 cards. Tell them that story. Seems really simple until you try it. Tarot is storytelling at its base. If you are using the tool of the cards to elaborate someone's story, getting in touch with your storytelling self is one of the most important things you can do in your journey through tarot. My storytelling self swears a lot. I see the pictures in my head of what has been, could be, will be. Yours is going to be different. Embrace that. When you look at the first card, you want to see your friend or client in the card. If they're the Fool, where are they jumping? Into romance, moving, new job? Tell them about themselves. Allow yourself to be wrong if you have to, but just talk and tell them the story. So if you're new, I suggest you try this for yourself. So let's just say you shuffle up your cards and you get, hold on, let me just pull 3 random ones here. Oh, okay. Okay. Let's just, okay. So I'm going to give you guys an example, but I am going to pretend like I know nothing about the cards, okay? So these are the 3 that I pulled randomly out of the deck. Okay, so sit down. Again, if you're a seasoned reader, sorry if this is, seems like child's play for you, but sometimes taking it back to the basics is really great. So thinking about me not knowing anything about a deck, and I lay down these 3 cards. Tell a story, okay? So take a look at the first card and think, okay, this is me, or I guess it could be a make-believe story as well. And I can say, this gentleman is sitting in a chair. He has asked everybody in his house to bring him a gift and set it behind him. He's going to be looking at all of his family members and deciding which one he likes the best. then he's going to be drinking from that cup and going on an adventure with them, okay? So that's like, if I didn't know anything about this card and I'm just looking basically at this, that's the first part of my story, is that this gentleman is sitting in a chair and he's called upon all his family and friends to bring him gifts in a cup, and he set them out and he's sitting there and looking at them and deciding which one he likes the best, okay? Then the next card is this one. Again, assuming I don't know anything about what this card means, this one's kind of a little bit more obvious, I think. But let's just say he picked one of his cups and he chose to go on an adventure with that person, and they told him, no, I don't want to go on your stupid adventure. I want to go and hang out with this person instead. And this really, really hurt him and made him feel like he was worthless. Then go to the next card and finish it up. But in the end, okay, so in this card, it's not focusing, but in this card, you can see that there are two people back here and they're like, yeah! But in the end, he decided to go back to the table and see all the other wonderful gifts that his family and friends had given him, and decided that it wasn't in his best interest to pick one person out, but to embrace and thank everybody for all of the cups that they gave him, and they threw like a little celebration. The end, right? Simple, 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 simple. But doing that is going to exercise your brain into dissecting what it is that you're seeing on the card, feeling on the card. And then if you want, when you're done, if you want to go back and look up what the meanings of these cards were, and then kind of go through how you interpret it, you can see how maybe close you were, or maybe how far away, but then it doesn't mean that you're right or wrong. It just means that maybe you knew what this card meant without even having to look at the guidebook, because you have to trust what you're getting from here. And also, it's a great exercise to learn how to put cards together, to read in a cohesive way. That was kind of a weird way to go about that, or a weird story to draw upon, but that's a good, it doesn't have to be, it's not about being right or wrong, it's about tell a story and learning how to see the cards cohesively. Let me go back now and check in with you guys. I've done this exercise in a local tarot meeting. It was fun. And then Patty, hi Patty. Patty says there's a great documentary on Amazon Prime called Tarotology. It shows how to see the tarot through the eyes of an artist. It was very interesting. I've never heard of that. I would love to look that up. Danielle's like, I'm watching that today. Christine says doing the story idea for the cards would be a good journal idea. Like draw a card each day and write a short story about the image on the card. So that brings me to the next section on this page, that's down here. So I'm kind of combining these two together for our first homework assignment. Again, if you've been reading tarot for years and years and years, you can find benefit out of this if you want to do it. And if you've never, ever, ever done a reading and you just bought your first tarot deck, or you haven't and now you're going to because you saw this video, I'm very excited for you if that's the case. But when you get your deck, this is great for you too, for never having touched tarot or anything. So, like I said, wait, this is not the right notebook. Hold on. Notebook overload. Let me read you this section underneath that says exercise. Introduce me to the card. In your journal entry, tell me who is in the card. So let's pull back that 9 of Cups here. Tell me who is in the card. In the 7 of Swords, who is taking all the swords away? Dang it, I don't have that right next to me. Whatever. Are they his? Is he stealing or taking them back? Who is he stealing them from and why? What about those guys in the corner of the card? Basically, she's describing the 7 of Swords, right, as if you're talking to someone who's never seen the deck before. So as I just did with these cards, right, so you can do the storytelling if you'd like, and I know that these are backwards for you guys, I'm sorry, but that is your homework assignment if you choose to accept. Pull a card and write about the card. Write as if you're talking to someone who's never seen the deck before. So if you're a person who's never seen the deck before, great, that's easy. You've never seen the deck before, you've never seen a deck before. Write as if you, like, write about the card just as if I explained it, but you don't have to pick 3. So let's just go back and pick the 9. So let's say you only want to do this once for the week, right? So this is your card you pick and you describe the card. I want you to really get in depth and describe the card. What is it feeling to you? What do you see? You can literally just break it down and be like, the background is yellow. The cups are yellow. His hat is red. He's sitting on a bench. His arms are crossed. The tablecloth is blue. Whatever you have to do to describe it, describe it. Or you can relate to how this might be what you feel like for the day. Or what do you think the relationship between him and the cups were? In my made-up belief story, it was that he sat down and he asked all his friends and family to give him gifts and presents, and now he's going to be sitting there and telling them which one's the best. Whatever you need to do. So you can do this once a day. If y'all are keeping up with your daily pages like I am, you could pick a card each day and do this exercise each day. You could do the story time. I'm leaving this pretty open for you because I know that we're all coming at the tarot journey from different perspectives. There's people, again, that have been reading for years and years, people who are professional, people who read for themselves every day but don't read for other people, people who've never touched a tarot deck before. So make this how it's best for you. But I want you guys to do some journaling, and I want you guys to do take some time and get to know some of the cards, build a relationship with them. So again, let's just say she mentioned the Fool. Let's just say you pull the Fool and you're just going to do this once for the week, right? I want you to really describe what's in this card and kind of get to know it and maybe build on a little bit of storytelling here. Where is he going? Where did he come from? How do you think that this is going to end out? What do you see in this card? What do you think that his energy is like, or his personality? And just kind of dissect that a little bit, okay? That's our first homework. It seems very big, but it's really simple, you guys. We're just describing some of the cards. Or you can go about it in the storytelling way if you want to up it a bit. Homework number 1. I will reiterate that again at the end of the live stream because I feel like I'm very amped up right now and I'm giving a lot of information. Does anybody have any questions before we move on? Either about the homework or something that we've already talked about that you need a little bit more clarification on. Again, if it's something that we haven't gone into yet, if you could hold off, that would be great because I might cover that or answer that question before we get there. But does anybody have anything? Speak now or forever hold your peace. No, I want this to be a collaborative conversation. I know to keep this interesting and going, I do have to kind of be the ringleader here, but I don't want this to just be all about me here. Hi. It says H loves MJ. Hi, Sammy. I've just come on. This book is what the W2F is tarot. I didn't connect with that one at all. Is this book like? Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. I have actually not read WTF tarot. I think it's in my wish list. I don't know. I don't have that book, but I've heard good things about it. This is my favorite tarot book I've ever read. So if it is a lot like that, then I think I'm going to like it. But if you didn't connect with it, I can't compare the two because I've never read WTF tarot. But welcome. Patty says, yes, you can see it in for free if you have Prime Video. If not, you could rent it for like $4, I think. I actually have Prime Video, so I am going to hopefully remember to watch that because it sounds really interesting. Okay, if nobody has any questions, I'm going to keep going. Let's see where we're at now. So that was the first part of the homework. Again, I will reiterate what our homework is at the end, but let's continue going through. So I didn't highlight anything. So I already read that about where her friend throws it up in the air and then it comes back down, and she doesn't like it, but it works for her. Great, now we're in chapter 2. Wow, Sam, you can talk. Keep and care and keeping of you and your tools. I am now on chapter 2. So she talks about the state of being will affect your reading. I think all of this is really great information, but for the sake of time, I'm going to keep going till I highlighted something. So the part that I have highlighted here is her talking about self-care, and she's talking about grounding, which if you've joined our live streams before for Witchy Book Club, or I have talked about this multiple times on my channel about grounding. Wow, I'm talking fast, which is why I'm going to get into this section next. You hear a lot about grounding yourself. You know what? I'm just going to read this section and then we'll get into how I'm connecting with this. It says self-care, and I'm on page 25. Whatever your spiritual path, I feel that learning how to visualize protection energy is extremely important, which is really awesome because we just finished The Witch's Shield by Christopher Penczak, which is based around protection. If you envision a shield around you, you not only have the visual to boost your confidence, but you've been still, have taken the time to slow your breathing and have mentally prepared yourself for what's coming up. It's like putting on emotional mental armor. I don't know that my readings will change for this, but I know that I will. I'll be stronger and better able to do my job. I am not good at picturing a ball of light surrounding me like Glenda the Good Witch. This is often recommended as a way to protect yourself against negative energy. What I'm awesome at, however, is imagining Tony Stark's Iron Man suit flying to cover me in a badass energy, or Wonder Woman's tiara and bracelets. They're really called the bracelets of submission? No, really. Strengthening your already immense reserves. Once the face mask hits, I'm ready to go. You do you. Figure out how to protect yourself and be consistent. Grounding is essentially settling down after doing energy work, after readings, after finishing a huge, non-mystical project. Where does that energy go? Well, nowhere, really, unless you send it away. We talked a lot about this in our previous books, specifically the last one. And then this is the part that I've highlighted, because if you guys know me or you've been here before, or this is your first live stream and you've already watched a bit of this, you can tell that I am very connected to this part of the reading. It says, have you ever had so much energy that you can't stop moving? I'm a bouncer. I bounce and fidget consistently. I'm out of focus. Great. If I don't pay attention to it, I literally don't stop moving. Sometimes though, especially when I'm about to do a reading, that kind of trigger behavior is distracting and inappropriate. It's especially bad for me after I've done a lot of readings. I can't concentrate. I can't stop talking. I call my poor friends and blather on and on about my day. I'm annoying as hell. So, she's really talking about, the effects of grounding and how it could be very beneficial. If you guys haven't noticed, I am very fidgety. I talk about it a lot, how I am always touching my hair, or I'm always fidgeting or talking with my hands. If you meet me in person, I'm very grounded. I swear. I'm very grounded. I'm very chill. I can get excited about things, but even then, my overall energy is very grounded. But there's this internal nervousness, or bouncy is a really great way to explain the internal thing going on here. So that's why I'm always trying to release that energy by fidgeting of some sort. So I might be sitting here and my tone and my energy is one thing, but I'm constantly touching my hair, or I'm constantly fidgeting with my fingers or something. I connect to that a lot, but when she talked about aftermath of her readings, I feel a little different. I actually feel as though I could take a nap. And a lot of people have been like, oh, you're draining yourself, you're not protecting yourself. I don't feel like that's what it is, because I do protect myself and I do clear myself from my readings. But she says that when she's done, she is charged up. She's ready to talk. She's annoying as hell. She could call her friends and blabber to them. I feel actually as though, because I could become so hyper-focused into delivering messages and dissecting the cards and the energies and communicating with people, or if it's a recorded video reading, I'm really putting my time and effort into, making my messages come through. I feel afterwards that I have actually been able to take all of this fidgety, bouncy energy that is just kind of all over the place randomly and focus it into something. And I become in a meditative trance. Reading for me is very meditative. It's not stimulating. It's a very... The process of reading for me is very grounding and meditative, and everybody's different. And I thought that was really interesting to hear her describe how she feels after a reading, where I feel like I'm so calm and zen and centered and relaxed that I could just be like, oh, I'm just gonna go chill, take a nap. I don't feel like when I'm done I'm like, oh, I'm so drained. There's a big difference. I feel like I got all that energy out and put it into something. I feel the same way when I'm painting, because I tend to paint very like highly detailed things, but I have to be hyper focused into what I'm doing, and it gives me a place to put that anxious, bouncy energy. How do you guys feel? If you have read the cards before, if you read for yourself or you read for other people, how does reading make you feel? If you're watching the playback right now, I'd love to hear what you have to say in the comments if you've made it this far in. How do you feel reading for yourself or for other people? Does it give you a charge? Does it make you motivated? Does it kind of make you more reflective? Do you feel drained afterwards, or do you feel like really grounded and centered? And if you've never read the cards before, how would you describe your overall energy on a basic level? Like, would you say that you're more tense? Would you say that you're pretty level-headed? Talk to me, guys. What do you guys got going on? So then you guys were talking about WTF Tarot book. I'm back and I was listening the whole time. How are you listening, Angie, and also giving your client a haircut? That's very curious to me. Do you like have a headphone in and go, yeah, work sucks, yeah, oh, yeah, your boyfriend is, great, and then, but you're talking and you're listening to me the whole time? I only really read for myself, so I feel calm. I feel at peace in a way. Great, awesome. I just read for myself and my sister, but I feel really grounded. For me, charged up. See, that's so cool that everybody has a different sort of give and take from the cards and from what that they can use for it. So if you're someone that's always really grounded and you feel very low energy, and then you read and you feel very, very charged up, how can you use that to your benefit? How can you, if you need energy, like you're going into a business meeting later or an interview, like can you use the tarot to use it to charge you up? I'm so low energy that I find everything overwhelming. Interesting. Jezebel Von Tex said, I'm always very grounded, but reading for others makes me nervous and jittery, so I get bouncy afterwards, ready to run a marathon. That's awesome, because I'm like, marathon is like the last thing I want to do right now. But what I feel like after I've done a reading is like I could solve some really impossible math equation because my mind is just like zoned in, and I feel like I'm I'm able to kind of like push away and relax all the other mindless stupid things that are always in my head because I become very focused. Sea Willow Herbs and Tea says, I feel tired right now because, girl, I feel you. No, you feel tired afterwards. Do you think it's because you're drained, or do you feel like it's because you're calm? So when I read for myself, I feel grounded, relaxed. When I read for other people, usually 2 or more, I feel so exhausted. So that can also give you some signs in which, how are you setting up your readings? If you do want to become professional, my hip just popped. If you do want to become a professional reader and you're finding that 2 readings is your max and then you're exhausted, only book yourself 2 readings a day. Only book yourself, 1 reading a day, because that you're not going to be able to get anything else done. You're going to feel exhausted, or because you won't be able to give somebody else another great reading afterwards because you're so tired from the one ahead. I feel like thinking about these things and asking ourselves these kind of questions. How do I feel before and after reading tarot? For myself or for others? It's going to help you to determine how in which you want to build and grow your relationship with it. I center and ground after reading, usually by drumming. Oh, you're awesome. You're cooler than me. Crow Girl 17, reading for myself, I feel energized and connected, but have only read for someone else once before, and I was super nervous, so it was a bit bouncy afterwards. That's awesome. I can just like picture somebody. Oops, I ground, clear, center after a reading, then drum. I got you. Lori, that's cool. I used my drum before doing readings. Hi, Sammy. Hi, Kelly Bear. We are getting in. I am Randley. We are going over Kitchen Table Tarot. Right now, we are talking about grounding. So it brings me to our next homework assignment, if you choose to accept. I don't have this book, but I just spotted this pop up in my feed, and I thought I'd come in. That's cool, Kelly Bear. A lot of people might not have this book. They might have never touched a tarot deck before, and maybe they're just coming in to see what it's all about. This, for me, Kelly Bear, is like, so you don't have this book? Girl, this is hilarious. This is the funniest tarot book I've ever read. If for some chance you want to start and go back and do some of the playback, or maybe you'll keep joining us in, the way that this is written, Melissa puts it in such a potty mouth, such a relatable way to think about reading tarot, or even just the meanings of the cards. I highly suggest you pick this up, Kelly. Do what you want. Not gonna pressure you, but like, out of any tarot book, this is for you, for sure, I feel like. So, and I know that you use the cards very different than a lot of other people do, so, that I know at least. So I feel like you would totally jam with this book. I started my day meditation drumming. Okay, so it's on my list to get. I'm currently reading WTF Tarot, which is also hilarious. That's so funny because we were just talking about that. I have never read WTF Tarot. A lot of people in here were like not really jabbing with it. I'm telling you, this is, I mean, she swears like a sailor for once, which is one of my favorite qualities about you. I've gotten way more potty mouthed in my live streams than I'd like to admit for my channel, but it's honestly who I am. I drop F-bombs like every second. Okay, so anyways, Sammy, who was the first person you read for? I don't even know. Probably one of my little friends, because I had an oracle deck and they'd come over and I would just be like, let's pull a card, and I would sit in my closet and shuffle up, and if we didn't get the love card, I'd be like, man, I don't know. If you're talking about professionally, I don't remember. To be honest with you, I don't remember. First person I read for, like, at all was probably a family or friend. Probably my grandma or, like, a friend. I don't remember, though. Let's see. Meet You I Love. Okay, so let's keep going. So the next part of the homework is a little bit more woo-woo than the other one. So our first bit of homework was to kind of take a card, journal about it. We can make a story. Finding out how to describe the cards, whether you're a seasoned reader or whether this is the first time touching a tarot deck. But then she talks about grounding and how she was talking about how she literally can't stop moving, all of this stuff. And I think it is really important to kind of check in with your energy. So even if you're not an energy kind of person, that's fine too. But maybe thinking about the elements might give you a different perspective on how you go about certain things. So she talks about elemental grounding, right? Earth, air, fire, and water. I really like to think about the elements. I think it's a really great tool. So in here, I'm just going to read this. It says, to help you remember how to ground yourself so you're not as annoying as I am, I'm going to use the 4 elements as teachers. Here are a few things you might do to get ready for your readings or wind down from them, organized by element. Weird, but it works. So then she says earth, and she gives you some really basic, easy. So if you think about this, this is very woo-woo, but if you listen to what she's suggesting, it's so simple and everyday things that you might already be doing, but we're just going to be thinking about it differently, if you choose to accept. So for earth, she says, stomp your feet on the ground. Go running or walking. Lie down in the grass or the garden. Put your hands in the dirt. Pet your animals. That's great. Have really good sex. When I was a social worker, I would stop outside of my car before I left for the day and stomp my feet like crazy to get all of that negative energy off of me before I got home. Again, if you're not an energy person, great. Sometimes just the act of like, I am going to disconnect from what I'm doing, and stomping your feet on the ground or the earth, that's what she's suggesting here. And I'd like us to at least think about that. So we're going through all of the elements here, and for the next week, maybe try and, if you don't want to actively pick one of these things out, you can just think about what you're doing throughout the week that might connect to these things. We've done elemental homework before, but this is just such an easy, practical way to do it. Air, breathe. Yoga breathing is outstanding. This kind of breathing pattern by Dr. Andrew Weil works great for me. If you breathe in a 4 count, hold for 7, and exhale for 8, it feels great. You can read or meditate too. You could friggin' light a candle, and she talks about that being more about fire. You could open up a window and go, great, did my air grounding. Perfect. You could sing along to your favorite song in the car and be like, all right, check, my air grounding homework is done. Just think about the elements and think about the ways in which you can connect or disconnect from certain things that you're doing. That's all I want you guys to do if you choose to accept. Again, fire, use a candle to meditate. I would say smoke because that worked for me for a long time, but smoking is bad for you, so light a candle and stare at it for a bit. Send your energy to the wick and imagine it getting turned into smoke and blowing it away. And then water, take a shower. Take off all your jewelry and put it in water to disperse any energy it has collected. Take a bath, go for a swim, stand in the rain. I would just even say, when you're drinking water throughout the day, think about what you're drinking. Be like, listen, this water is going to help to cleanse my body full of the crap that I've put in it already today. I've eaten a bag of chips, so I'm going to drink this water, and it's going to help me to flush some of the crap out of my system. It's the same sort of thing. So let me go back and read some of your stuff. Again, at the end of this live stream and also in the description box below and in the comments, I reiterate the 2 homework assignments if you choose to accept or suggestions to build on. But this is the second one. This one's a little bit more woo-woo for you guys, but let's see. I use the breathing method all the time, says Kelly Bear. You will have to come here and make a drum circle with me. Oh my gosh, you guys are talking about drum circles. You're so much cooler than me. Hi, Nerdy Tarot. Hello, everyone. My first book club as well. Slept through an hour of it. Oops. Sorry. I know I make these kind of early for people who might be on the west coast of the United States as well, but this is the only time that works for me. I guess my fire grounding is also my air grounding. I use lavender cones and burn it to help me relax. Sweet. Awesome. So I just want you guys throughout the week, let me clarify this a little bit. I want you to take the 4 elements. Again, if you choose to accept. I want you to take the 4 elements and I want you to think about how you use them. We've done this sort of homework before, but it's a great thing to kind of focus on for tarot. How are you using the elements? It could be as simple as earth, petting your animal, okay? How does that help you? Does it make you feel better? You know, how is it, maybe you had a hard, stressful day at work and you come home and you detach yourself from work and your mindset and you relax and you feel better by petting your animal. I just want you guys, and you can journal about it, you don't have to, you can just think about it throughout your week. How are you using the elements? And then if you're already aware of how you're doing it already, maybe try and use that as a tool in which, hey, I feel really airy and lightheaded, or I feel really charged up and I really need to, after my readings, I feel like I need to come down a bit. How throughout my day do I already disconnect or help myself to ground by all of these other practical things throughout the elements? If petting your animal is really helpful for you, after you do a really stressful reading or after you do a really big reading, if you feel super charged up and that you need to calm down, you can say, you know what? It really, really helps me to just sit down and pet my dog. Great. Now you have a tool or an easy way to do that's not, everybody get into the yoga position and we're going to breathe in and out. Like sometimes that works for people and sometimes it doesn't. So these are some practical tools in which let's just think about the elements. Let's think about how we use them and how we might be able to use them in a different way. Okay. We all get it? We all got it? Again, I will reiterate this at the end, what the first part of the homework and the second part of the homework is, but I would like to move on. I would so love that. I would love to learn about how you make a drum. You guys are still talking about drums. That's great. I'm going to have to go back and read these comments again. I only need a water and earth grounding to ground myself with elements. Great. That's awesome. Sounds good. I accept, Victoria Lynn says. Wonderful, wonderful. So we'll talk about that next week when we come back. I'm going to be doing them myself as well. Let's move on, you guys. So the next portion is sleep and dreams. I wanted to go into this with you guys, but I'm a little nervous too now, so I don't know if I'm going to. Heading to the lake tomorrow, the element homework will be so easy there, surrounded by earth, air, and water. Great. Bring an incense, or bring a candle, or bring a match. Bring some matches or a lighter and just be like, flick, okay, cool, my fire is done. Or stare into this, no, don't stare into the sun. Bring some sunglasses and stare near the sun and be like, I am sitting, or just sit in the sun. Wow, please don't hurt yourself. Please don't stare into the sun. Just sit in the sun and be like, I'm soaking up the rays from a big ball of fire. The most fire thing here is the sun. So I'm getting the energy from that, okay? Cool. Or I'm just thinking about fire. Okay? Nice. Try that breathing suggestion in a book. Saved my butt at work. Wonderful. All right. So I really wanted to get into this, but I don't. You guys, I mentioned this last live stream about when we started doing our daily pages, and how I've continued doing it, and I have been. And I talked about a weird circumstance in which I was picking up on something before it happened, when it had to do with a $5 bill and an ace. And I explained that. If you guys want to, going blind because hashtag Sammy made me do it. No! Oh, I am the worst. Who's letting me on YouTube? I don't know. Oh, sorry. Anyways, let me reiterate. I hope that you don't all go stare into the sun. Please don't do that. On Mondays, it's at 9 a.m. her time zone. Yes, and I'm in Eastern Standard Time Zone, so you're going to have to look up when that is. But every single Monday at 9 a.m., this is where we hold Witchy Book Club. That is what would be so meaningful, not the drum, but the ritual. Okay, added this part of the book to my tarot journal because it was so helpful. The dreams, the sleep in the dreams, or are we still talking about elemental grounding? Okay. I don't think I want to go there. Guys, today, because there's so much stuff I want to go over, and it's just really personal with me, and I was going to go into it, but I'm sorry that I'm bringing it up. The elemental. Okay, cool. Because, you know what? All I have to say is that I had a circumstance in which on Friday, I had a dream. Thursday night, I woke up and I was like, wow, cool. This is going to be easy. This is exactly what I'm going to write for my daily pages. I wrote it all out, very specific to the T. I got a phone call from somebody. Bye, Kelly Bear. I hope that I see you back. And look into this, girl, because this is going to be for you. I know it. I just know it. You don't want to talk about dreams. I feel like we've talked about dreams a lot, Angie, and I kind of want to stick to tarot for this live stream. And we can go back, or we can talk about if there's time at the end, which I don't know if there's going to be. Dreams are really important, and she talks about when you give readings, pay attention to your dreams before and after. I feel weird if I don't remember my dreams the next day. They've become a running narrative of this other world that sometimes makes sense. Sometimes I peel my face off and put it in a drawer. It's a crapshoot, really. She just talks about listening to your intuition, listening to your subconscious, taking those hints and those things that you're getting from your dreams, if you remember them, and writing them down or seeing how they might connect. But then she moves on. So that's why I don't want to stay too much on it. But basically, I'll tell you that I had a circumstance in which on Friday morning I was writing down a dream from Thursday night in detail. And then I got a phone call from somebody to let me know what happened the night before. And they basically described my dream to a T with the same people in my dream. And the reason why I'm not going into it further is because it's concerning people I don't really associate with anymore, but also it was just, I wanted to bring it up to let you guys know that I feel like this continuously keeps happening because I am building a muscle in which I have let get very weak over the years. Every single day I do morning pages or daily pages, which I'm trying to keep up on the inspiration for you guys over on my Instagram story. But I was away camping, so it was a little hard. But I am finding extreme benefit in writing every day, and especially in dream recall, and to become connected more with my subconscious and writing down all of these things that I get locked in there about. That's all I'm going to say. I feel like it could be very obvious as to why doing that could help you into interpreting messages from the cards. You don't have to. But yeah. Cool. Let's move on. All I highlighted on page 30 is it just says, do the thing if the thing feels right. Hashtag Melissa. Basically, you know, when learning tarot, you're going to get a lot of information, or you're going to get a lot of, I feel like I have to's, or I've heard that this is good for me. Just do the thing if the thing feels right. If you feel like you want to use the book the whole time when you're reading, great. If you feel like you only want to do one card readings and that's enough for you, great. If you feel like you want to start and lay every single card out and try and go through every single, do it. if it feels right. If you want to mix divinatory systems together when you're learning or when you're reading, if it feels right, do it. That's the biggest advice that I give to anybody about anything, really. Do you want to? Does it feel right? Then go for it. And then she talks about cleansing energy from your cards. Then she goes through the elements again, which is pretty cool. Earth, wrap your knuckles on your card. Stack them up, put them in a clean grass and let them go to the ground for a bit. Air, use a smudge stick. Breathe on them. Fire. Tricky with flammable cards, but I find incense feels more fiery than a smudge stick. You can also put your cards into the sunlight. Water, also tricky with cards. This might be me being weird, but I look to the moon for water cleansing. It controls the tides, right? Put your cards on the windowsill in front of the moon and let them soak up the goodness. I'm going to be really honest with you guys. I don't cleanse my decks very often. There has been times in which I will use tools to cleanse my decks. I feel as though shuffling for me and the way that I store my decks is enough. But there has been certain circumstances in which I'm like, okay, this was a really deep reading. This was really heavy. I need to kind of keep this one, kind of separate from the rest of my collection and give it a little bit more love and kind of cleanse it. But I don't feel that that's necessary for me very often. But if you do feel that way, or if you do want to do that, great. Then I highlighted this down here, but I don't remember what it's about, so I'm going to read it to you guys. Page 31. Some readers don't allow clients to touch their cards, and some do. It comes again to personal choice. I always let people shuffle and cut the deck in person, and if they have follow-up questions, I shuffle for them. I swear, most of the advice in this book will come down to this. Do you want to do the thing? Do the thing. That's what makes it right. So do you guys let people touch your cards? Do you shuffle for them and you don't let them touch the cards, but if they end up touching the cards, it's fine? What do you guys feel about that? I've been woken up from dreams lately, but voices, or a voice to be more specific. Angie, you can DM me. We can talk more about that. That happens to me quite frequently. I have my name and words shouted in my ear before sleep. This is also the space in which I found my spirit guides. So, hey girl, hey. I cleanse them with sage every so often. Great. Sounds good. I was taught by my grandmother about the ethics and the things to know about tarot, which is really interesting because she started reading, I think she said in the 70s, and I think a lot of shoulds were still attached to tarot at that time. Like, you have to have somebody else buy your deck for you. You have to be given your first tarot deck. Because my grandma was always like, whatever, if you want to learn, buy your own deck. So if you've heard that myth, do the thing. If the thing feels right, then do that. Or if you're very traditional and you feel as though, you want to abide by these rules that you have in your mind, if that feels right to you, then do that too. If you feel like you need to be gifted a tarot deck, and that's the way that you need to begin, then great. Then hopefully someone gives it to you soon and you can dive right in. Something just moved over by my door, I'm not going to lie. But I let people touch my decks. It kind of changes when I'm reading with other people. I most of the time like to I will shuffle the cards up, right? So I'll shuffle them, and what I found is easiest and most what am I trying to say? Best for time, I guess. Because I used to be like, okay, shuffle up the deck until it feels good and then stop. And that can overwhelm people, especially if they're nervous to begin with. They feel like they're going to do something wrong. They feel like it just kind of puts them in a space energetically that I've noticed is not as beneficial. So if I really want someone to touch the cards and I feel like they can put their energy into it, or if I feel like I want them to connect with it and feel like they're a part of it and it's not just all me here, what I found is best to do for me personally is I will shuffle up the deck and get everything really good for them. I will set the deck in front of them and I will say to them something along the lines of, touch the deck, cut the deck, or if you feel like you don't want to, that's fine too. But just And they'll most of the time they'll be like, I'll say, you can just tap the top of the deck. You can cut it if you want. You can cut it 3 times. You can choose to pass. Whatever you want to do is great. But the reason why I like to do this is honestly not even as much for them putting their energy into the deck, which I do feel, I believe that holds space and holds power. But if you don't, what I feel like that benefits me in is getting a sense of how comfortable or where that person is at. So if I get somebody that I say, go ahead and touch the deck, cut the deck, or if you choose not to, that's fine too. If I get them, they're like, no, I'm good. And I am getting a sense of where they're at before we get into this reading. I don't try and judge too hard on that, but it does give me a ground basis. So if I get someone that's like, ooh, okay, and they're like cutting the deck one way and then cutting it another way and they're getting excited, like I'm going to get a sense of how comfortable I feel like they might be or where they're at. And so I won't necessarily change my energy or change the way I'm going to interpret it. It just does give me a little bit more into kind of making it comfortable for the other people. That's something that I wanted to share with you guys, I guess. But again, if you're just learning and you're just reading for yourself, this doesn't have to do with anything. So, the deck I'm currently using, I do not like others to touch other than stacking them, partially because of energy. The other part, because I don't want them to get messed up. I don't let them shuffle. My other decks, I don't mind if they shuffle them. Great, that's cool too. Is it because you worry about bent corners or like how rough they will be? I have never been someone that has cared about whether my cards get dirty or bent or whatever. I say that with also keeping in mind that I do take good care of my decks. So I want them to be used. I want to shuffle them. I want to use them. I want to work with them. But I'm not going to like idly keep them next to my paints if they're going to get spilled over, or I don't want to purposefully shuffle them and lay them out in the dirt. You know what I mean? It's not like, I do feel like keeping good care and having a good, and she goes into that as well about keeping your decks safe with a rubber band at the bottom of your purse where there's gum wrappers and all of that, like, or lip gloss to get all over it. You know, there is a mindset around keeping care of your decks, but for me personally, I want them to be used. I want them to, you know, if they get worn or they get, you know, I'm not a collector of sorts, so I'm not buying decks or purchasing decks or getting gifts of decks to have them sit. I want to use them. I want to have them. But I do know what you're saying about you might have one deck where you're like, this is the one that I just kind of want to keep for myself, or I don't want people to touch. I can get down with that as well. Okay, so you guys are just continuing. Okay, now we're getting through. We're almost done. This is the last section here. We're on chapter 3, Ethics of Reading. And we're almost 2 hours in already, you guys. What if I'm wrong? Page 33. This just goes into talking about what happens if you misinterpret, or you need a do-over. How sometimes she'll lay the cards and she'll be like, nope, do-over. And she'll just pick all the cards back up and reshuffle. There's really, really great in here. We're none of us perfect. I've come to believe that if I give someone the wrong information, it's because they weren't meant to hear the right stuff yet. Readings get canceled or rescheduled, people get sick, all kinds of things happen, so that person can get a reading when they need it. Sometimes that includes you being less than 100% accurate. Just do your best. That's what she says about there. Holy crap, what if I'm right? You're supposed to be right? Well, yeah, but you don't have to be careful to. If you see that someone's sick, how do you share this? If you see that they're cheating on their partner and about to get caught, how do you make them take you seriously? There's really great stuff in here, you guys, but let me go to the comments. I was too scared to wrap it in a rubber band or a hair tie, so I tied a piece of ribbon on it, and it looks pretty and holds them together. You're cute, Angie. Gotta go. Just wanted to say I really enjoyed your live stream. I will watch it on the playback. Happy Beauty, thanks for joining us. I'm really glad that you did, and feel free to watch the playback. I'll try to put some really great links in the comments below if possible here. For me, it's not about bending my cards. It's about putting their doubtful or negative energy into the cards. I get that. I totally get that. I'm on board with the whole energy thing, as you guys might know, and but I also feel as though I come from a mindset of starting my readings where if I go into it with a mindset of, this is my deck, this is my deck, this is my tool, it cannot be used for anybody else other than me and me interpreting the energy of somebody else. So I want to say that with like caution too, because I do believe that people can put their energy into the deck, but only if I let them. So I feel more so as if the cards are tools and I become the vessel for the interpreting the energy. And when I'm done with the reading, my cards are done with them, disconnected, cleared. And I can't really describe to you what that's, how I go about that or what I do. I just and sometimes there has been cases in which I'm like, okay, maybe I need to spend a little bit more extra time. Like I said, maybe I need to cleanse this, maybe not. But I think that I've created a pretty good mental space to where when I'm using the cards, they're open to interpret the energy of myself or other people. But when I'm done, they go back to being mine. They go back to being cleared. They go back to being a deck of cards that is a tool. They can't hang on to what they were being used for. And again, I feel like maybe that's because that's my intention, that's worked for me. If that ever changes and I feel like my intention changes in that, then yes, they might get stuck or gunked up with other people's energy. But because I go into my readings with that intention, whether consciously or subconsciously, I feel like I haven't had to cleanse my decks as much because that's the way I'm going into it. If you go into it with a sense of either fear or reserve around your decks being holding that energy or holding that space, then I would say, yeah, maybe spend a little bit more time and take a second to kind of clear it or to shuffle them up again or do something with them to where you can disconnect from that, if that makes sense. That's just me. Again, that's just me. You do you, guys. There's room for all of us. She talks about lifting other readers up. If she feels as though she gets a client that's not going to like her potty mouth, not like her potty mouth, she'll send them to somebody else because there's room for everybody. I love that so much. Since you do, it's not for me. Okay, Donna says, since you do internet readings, how do you get a feel for the person? Interesting. Donna, I do both in-person and video readings. But for video readings, I've talked about this before. Video readings is really, really interesting because I have to rely on my first instinct with a card. Like, I really enjoy giving video readings because as much as I rely on in-person readings and kind of getting a sense for how the person is, a lot of the times, I don't know, I kind of feel as though the messages that come through sometimes my video readings are so much more pure and clear because I have nothing to go off of. You know, I might get a little blurb about someone's sun, moon, and ascendant, and I might be able to draw some energy associations to them, but there's so much else that could be coming through that when I see a card or when I see it, I get feelings, and that's because that's the kind of reader that I am. So I might feel physically nauseous, or I might get really happy when I see a card, or I might be like, I might see something in my head that doesn't really relate, but then I kind of try and make it relate, and I really let my intuition and whatever comes to me first guide me through it. It's really hard to describe, I guess. I don't know. It's a good question, Donna, because I feel I read very similar and very different for clients when they're in person with me versus when it's a video recorded reading. And I've learned a whole bunch about reading and about myself as a reader by doing both. So that's a really good question. But I don't know how to explain it other than that. It's just when I'm in a video reading, I'm getting no feedback. So I have to you did a video reading for me and was accurate. That's what made me wonder. I loved reading for you, Donna. I thought that was you that I had read for, but, and I feel like every time you do a reading, you get better. And video readings are really intimidating at first, I feel like, because you're just like, if you're used to reading for somebody in person and then all of a sudden you're doing video readings and you're not getting that feedback, like, it's really nice to do in-person readings to say, here's what I'm getting, here's what I'm seeing, here's what I'm feeling, and then the person go, wow, I think you're talking about my relationship with my job. And then we kind of go in a little deeper with that and get a little bit more in depth. But I still feel like the people who are getting video readings from me are getting a lot of information. So I don't know. I love doing both. I think there's pros and cons to anything, but when I'm in a video reading, it is crazy some of the shit that comes out of my mouth, because if I don't just say what it is, I feel like sometimes I feel more connected with a person through a video reading than I do when they're sitting right in front of me, and I don't know how to describe that. I don't know how to feel it. Maybe that's because I'm concentrating more and focusing on connecting with them other than relying on there already being a connection because they're sitting in front of me. But yeah, anyways. Sorry, one of my decks I use to help center myself, I shuffle it and take a look when I'm anxious, scared, panic, feeling. I feel then burden my friend, so I then burden my friend, so I cleanse this deck as the deck often as a form of respect and as a thank you. That's awesome. Sounds good. I think I'm going to need a new notebook. I took so many notes today and we just started this book. Sorry. And we're almost to the 2-hour mark. Let me just go through really quickly and do any of the other things that I'm just going to go over the sections that are maybe highlighted for the rest of this. So on page 39, I have, when someone sits down for a reading or picks up a phone, there has to be trust present. People don't get readings generally when everything is hunky-dory. People get readings because they're worried, unsure, or feeling small. I feel it's my job to listen, to encourage, and to remind them that the pattern is very hard to see when you're in it. This maze that you're walking through can look like vast walls that you can possibly navigate. That's the lovely thing about readings. You can see the whole picture and point you in the right direction. Not to sound cheesy, but I'm feeling really honored to be able to do what I do. It's a gift, and I do my best to be respectful about using it and sharing it. I just thought that was a really beautiful way to talk about, being gentle, but also being honest. So if you're a very, very blunt person, you can have that come out in your readings, whether for yourself, whether for others. If you're just starting learning tarot, just embrace who you are and learn to read through that way. But also, if you're reading for other people, or even if you're reading for yourself and you're a blunt person, but you're reading where something's coming up that is a touchy subject, or that could be a touchy subject, it's just about having an awareness about how you could communicate and just understand that you're dealing with people's feelings and emotions. And I've had something someone said to me as a child, not even tarot related. You might get advice, or you might hear something, and that person might just say it very nonchalantly, but that one line could stick with you for your whole life. And you could think about that one thing that person said that they probably didn't even remember saying, but that could stick with you for your whole entire life. Now think about that in a way where someone's coming to you for advice, or coming to you through clarity of the cards, and you say things to somebody, they are going to remember that if they choose to remember that. I have readings where I've remembered every single thing that person said, but I've had conversations that were supposed to be really important and I don't remember a thing. When someone's coming to you to share space, to open up, to get information or get guidance from you, or clarity possibly, just know that is an important space that you're holding with them, and to be careful. Not to be scared, but to be careful and to understand that it's not about you, it's about them, and it's about you working with them. Yeah, okay, cool. That's enough. How you guys doing? Are you guys getting through here? Okay. Then she goes into some of the things that she does not do. She does not read for that drunk person over there. She does not read for jerky jerks. She does not read about death or birth. She does not give readings to minors without parents' permission. She does not give readings if it doesn't feel good. She does not give readings if you don't listen to me. So if someone keeps coming back and back and back and back and the reading's about the same thing and they keep asking the same questions, excuse me, it's one thing to have a returning client, and it's a one thing to have a returning client who asks the same fucking question over and over and over again. She doesn't do that. I don't like that as well. I do not give readings to creeps. I can't give readings to pragmatists. I cannot give readings to people who are trained to put up mental shields. I do not read for people when I don't want to. I can't read when the universe doesn't want the person to know what's up. I don't read for clients who have ill intent. So she just goes through and breaks down some of the reasons why she doesn't give certain readings or why she can't. And throughout your journey or throughout reading tarot, whether it's for yourself or for others, again, maybe you realize that you might not be able to give yourself readings before you eat a meal. I don't know, whatever. Just be aware of things and have ethics, have standards, have boundaries. And I've created those along the way. Maybe I'll do a separate live stream or make a video on my personal do's and don'ts for reading, because I feel like it might be helpful to some people, but also I don't want people to kind of take mine and be like, that's how I have to do it as well. But she does really break it down wonderfully in here, you guys. Again, she talks about being gentle. I think that might be it. Okay, I want a reading, but don't tell me anything bad. How many times I've heard that from in-person readings? Okay, I want you to read my cards, but like, don't tell me anything like bad. I hope nothing bad comes up. Okay, let me give you this beautiful, sparkly rainbow unicorn fairy dancing nymph reading. Everything is great. Everything will be amazing. Ultimately, that's what we want to hear, is that everything is going to work out. And guess what? It does. It works out the way you want it to, or the way that it might just work out. But what tarot is for me is a tool to help us dissect where we're at and where we might be or where we might have come from, and help us kind of evaluate things in a certain way. And if you don't want to get into the bad, or if you don't want to deal with some of the shit, then why get a reading? In my opinion, tarot is a tool to read for ourselves or to get into things. If I'm sitting down at my table every day and pulling a card and going, if I don't get a great card, then this is going to be an awful day. No. If, like I said with my monthly cards, if I get the 9 of Swords for my daily pull in the morning, I think, you know what? Maybe I might be surrounded today with people who are really having a hard time. Or, how was my sleep last night? Or, am I feeling really anxious about something coming up? Am I feeling really like I'm burdened with a lot of thoughts? I might go, okay, how can I make this better for myself? Maybe I need to take 20 extra minutes and go meditate. Or maybe I need to say no to going and hanging out with that friend later because I feel like it might cause me some anxiety. Or whatever it is, it's a tool for us to access and to navigate ourselves through. That's my opinion. That's my opinion. Angie says, yes, Sammy, I just had that happen to me this weekend, and when people refer to me the way, I always remember and like to add them and always repeat the word, and it hurts. Yeah. I love when they say that, and then the first card is the death card, and they immediately freak out. Yeah. If they say that and they sit down, most of the time, I will stop and I won't even take the cards in my hands, or if I already have them in my hands, I will say, I will explain to them very, very simply, if you don't want to get guidance, the good, the difficult, the in-betweens, then I don't know if I'm the person to read for you. I am not going to guarantee that everything that's going to come up is going to be beautiful rainbow and sunshines, but why do you want to live your life purely only in rainbows and sunshines? You know, I might be pretty blunt about it and just say, listen, what comes up is what comes up. And I'm very clear in the beginning of my readings with people on what to expect. I think that's what she goes back to, is being honest. Just tell the people you're about to read for, if this is, again, if you're just learning tarot, I'm sorry, this is very, like, ethics on how to read for other people, professionally or even for friends. Just be honest with them and say, listen, this is going to be a tool. I'm going to share space. Nothing that happens in this reading will be repeated to anybody else, or nobody will know what has happened here today. So if there's something that you don't want brought up, then it probably won't be brought up because you don't want to think about it or talk about it. So I won't be able to go there. That's how I base my readings. If someone genuinely doesn't want to go there, right? And I will say that to them because after the reading's done, they might go, oh, wow, she didn't touch on this. I wonder why. Maybe she's not great. No, I'm laying it out on the table. If there's something you feel uncomfortable talking about and it doesn't get brought up, it's because you don't want to talk about it. Now, if there's something you don't want to get brought up and you feel uncomfortable about it, but you know you need to talk about it and it gets brought up, then we know we're, just be fucking honest with people. That's really all it comes down to, All right, you guys, let's wrap up for today. It's over 2 hours, and I do want to go over the homework again. I want to take some questions. How are you guys feeling? What's going on? Let me know what you thought of today's live stream, what you're excited for next one. I'm going to reiterate the homework again. So, our next reading for this book, we're getting into the cards. We're going to be starting the Major Arcana, which starts on page 53. And goes, oh no, where's my page got lifted out here. And goes, it's quite a bit of reading, but it's not too much more than we always do. So it goes from page 53 to 118. We are going to be going over the Major Arcana. We're dabbling into the actual cards here. I suggest, but it is not it's recommended, but it's not necessary for you to grab yourself a deck of cards. Again, something that's based on the Rider-Waite system. It could be something that's, if you don't know, Google it. There's so much information out there. Just write like Rider-Waite based decks, and grab yourself one, because if you want to learn tarot, it's very difficult without a tarot deck. Or grab one and be like, this is the deck I'm going to use for this live stream, and maybe stick to one or two. But this is going to be our next reading assignment, is Major Arcana. So we're going to stop when we get to the Minor Arcana. We're going to dabble all through this section here, okay? That's the next reading assignment. Again, to recap our homework assignments for next week, Sam's going to actually try and do the mirror assignment she did from last week, so I have 3 homeworks. The first one is to pull a card or pull multiple cards. You can do this every day. You can do this once for the week. Pull a card and describe it as if you're talking to someone who's never seen the deck before. Look at this card. There's a sun with a face on it. Some of the rays are squiggly. Some of the rays are pointy. There's flowers in the background. They may be sunflowers, but I'm not sure. There looks like there's a flag with a red. There's a naked baby on a horse. Describe that card or cards. We talked about building a story with the cards. Go through each of them, and it's just about kind of breaking down the cards, but looking at it in a sense of, you don't know what the meanings are. Let's just break down the images of the cards. And if you actually don't know what the meanings are, this is a great exercise for you to do. Okay? That's the first part of the homework. The second part of the homework is to take each of the 4 elements, or 5 if you want to include spirit somehow in there. Earth, air, fire, and water. Take a look at how you're using each throughout the day. And then, so again, like earth, every time you touch your wooden dresser to pull clothes out of it, or picking out your outfit, or making your bed, or doing the dishes. Those are very earthy things to me. Or water, using water and earth together. Just think about the ways in which you can write them all out and list the things that you do throughout the day. We're doing this so that we can use those tools that we already have and create a grounding exercise for before and after readings, or just in general. Again, like we said, with petting a dog, or anything like that, lighting a candle, taking a shower. So those are our 2 homework assignments. I hope that you guys enjoyed this live stream. I rambled a lot. I'm so excited to continue this. I have a surprise coming after we do this reading, and I can't tell you what it is yet until I've locked some things in place. But it is going to be so awesome. It may or may not involve a giveaway, and it may or may not involve the actual author of this book. That's all I'm going to say. So please stick with me. If you guys liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you know somebody that has been wanting to get into tarot, share this with them. Join. Let's make this community bigger and better. Anybody have questions about anything or anything they'd like to share before I end for the day? I like the death card in a way because it's me, so I'm not afraid of the death card. Okay, cool. Janae's luck. Awesome. Does anybody have anything they want to say or do before we end? Feeling ready. That's it? Okay, cool. I'm not seeing anything come across. I feel like you guys, 2 hours and 10 minutes is pretty good for the beginning of this. Thank you all so much for joining me. I'm, again, very excited to get into tarot. I want to have more tarot books as well, but this is a great one for me to start off with because I am so passionate about tarot and especially the way that Melissa Sanova breaks this shit down. So I love you all very much, and I hope that you have a beautiful, wonderful, magical day, and I will see you guys next time.